Welcome to Diplomatic Channel. I am Amarachi Ubani. The Olympics have officially begun in Rio, and what a colorful ceremony it was. All tensions were put aside as the first ever Games in South America let the whole world into its culture, heritage, and concern about the environment. And if you missed it, here are the highlights.
Brazil unfurled a vast canvas celebrating its rainforest and the creative energy of its wildly diverse population in welcoming the world on Friday, August the 5th to the Olympic Games in Rio de Janeiro, all to the pounding beat of samba, bossa nova and funk. The opening ceremony was decidedly simple and low-tech, a reflection of Brazil's tough economic times. In one of the world's most unequal societies, the spectacle celebrated the culture of the favelas, the slums that hang vertiginously above the renowned beaches of Rio and ring the Maracanã. There was no glossing over history either, from the arrival of the Portuguese and their conquest of the indigenous populations to the use of African slave labor for 400 years. The clash of cultures, as the ceremony showed, is what makes Brazil the complex mosaic that it is. Home to the Amazon, the world's largest rainforest, Brazil used the ceremony to call on the 3 billion people watching the opening of the world's premier sporting event to take care of the planet, plant seeds and protect the verdant land that Europeans found here 5 centuries ago. Brazilian marathon runner Vanderlei Cordeiro de Lima, a bronze medalist in Athens in 2004, lit the Olympic cauldron, a small and low-emission model befitting the environmental theme of these games. Unlike the opening ceremonies in Beijing in 2008 and London in 2012, a financially constrained Brazil had little choice but to put on a more analog show with minimal high-tech and a heavy dependence on the vast talent of Brazil and its carnival party traditions. In the nearly 4-hour event, nothing appeared to go awry. While the Rio 2016 organizing committee has not said how much the ceremony cost, it is believed to be about half of the $42 million spent by London in 2012. The show drew homegrown stars like supermodel Gisele Bündchen, who walked across the stadium to the sound of bossa nova hit Girl from Ipanema, and Tropicalia legends Caetano Veloso and Gilberto Gil. Everyone performed for free. Loud cheering erupted when 2 of the last teams entered the stadium. The first refugee team in Olympic history, and finally, a samba dancing Brazil contingent. The joyful opening contrasted with months of turmoil and chaos, not only in the organization of the Olympics, but across Brazil as it endures its worst economic recession in decades and a deep political crisis. Before the entry of a few thousand of the 11,000 athletes who will be competing in the Games, the playful rhythms of the ceremony gave way to a sober message about climate change and rampant deforestation of the Amazon. Each athlete will be asked to plant seeds that will eventually grow into trees and be planted in Rio in a few years.
Australia. Republic of China.
República Popular da China.
And there is a relationship between the Olympics and world peace, Olympic truce being a tradition originating from ancient Greece that dates back to 778 BC. It was announced before and during the Olympic Games to ensure the host city state was not attacked, and athletes and spectators could travel safely to the games and peacefully return to their respective countries. And back then, wars were suspended during the Olympics, which lasted 3 months. Armies were prohibited from threatening the games, legal disputes were stopped, and death penalties were forbidden. This tradition was renewed in 1998 when the International Olympic Committee called upon all nations to observe the truce. In 1996, the truce was revived and promoted through the Olympic Flame Relay. 3 years later, the IOC announced the establishment of the International Olympic Truce Foundation and the International Olympic Truce Center in cooperation with Greece. The aim was to protect the interests of athletes in sports and to promote peaceful principles in modern day. So the Olympics gives us something to look forward to this week, considering the past week has been tainted with attacks in Afghanistan and in London, where special police were deployed to protect lives against any possible terror attack. And while it's up to security agencies to take out threats of terror, we will do well to be vigilant and look out for our own safety. Time now to take a quick check on other discussions in diplomatic circles. Sunday saw thousands of Turks gathering in Istanbul on request by President Tayyip Erdogan for a show of strength for the Turkish president. The Democracy and Matthias rally at the Yenikapi Parade Ground was the highlight of 3 weeks of nightly demonstrations by the Erdogan supporters, some carrying banners reading, "You are a gift from God," and "Order us to die and we will do it." The president has promised to rid the country of the network of US-based cleric Fethullah Gulen, whose followers in the security forces, judiciary and civil service he accuses of orchestrating the attempted power grab and of plotting to overthrow the state. While world powers condemn the recent arrests and detentions, Turkish officials have angrily rejected suggestions that the purges are out of proportion and accused critics of failing to grasp the magnitude of the threat to the Turkish state and of being more concerned about the rights of coup plotters than the brutality of the events themselves. Over in Belgium, Prime Minister Charles Michel has acknowledged that his country faces a new situation in security, but that it had become a Europe-wide problem. During a press briefing on Sunday, he thanked the police involved in Saturday's attack by a machete-wielding man in Charleroi, about 50 kilometers from the capital. 2 policemen were injured seriously from the attack. The Islamic State has claimed responsibility for the attack, but before that, Belgian prosecutors had identified the assailant as a 33-year-old Algerian who had lived in Belgium since 2012, who may have been inspired by terrorism. Belgium is currently on a security alert level 3 out of a maximum 4, denoting a possible and probable threat. Finally, Pope Francis has condemned the violence in Syria as unacceptable, that helpless civilians had to pay the price of conflict. The Pope's comment was made during his weekly Angelus prayer from the windows of the papal apartments overlooking St. Peter's Square in the Vatican. The Pope said the victims of the conflict are paying the price for the want of a will for peace among those in power. Syrian rebels broke through to besieged opposition-held areas in eastern Aleppo on Saturday in an assault on a major government military complex meant to end a month-long siege. Pro-government media outlets denied the siege had been broken, and a U.S. State Department official said the situation was too fluid to comment. The heavy fighting and airstrikes reported from the area seem to indicate any passage that may have been opened would be far from secure enough for civilians to travel through. In another report, the United Kingdom-based Syrian Observatory for Human Rights said an airstrike near a hospital in northwestern Syria on Saturday killed 10 people, including children, and damaged the hospital. Up ahead on Diplomatic Channel this week, we join Japan in remembering the worst horrors of the Second World War, one that the world has never seen before. Do join us again.